Live from Deathray Studios in the sunny West Valley of Phoenix, it's Late Night with the Davey. Appearing on tonight's show, YouTube content creator Evan from ROCKLIN Graves Productions. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Davey Deathray. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here. How y'all doing on this lovely, lovely Wednesday night? I can't believe it, but today, guys, Kate and I got to open up the windows in the morning. It was amazing. It was like 65 or something outside. It's the first time we've been able to open up the windows since like maybe early May. I don't know, maybe even late April. So it's, it's still 95 during the day, but damn it, it's 65 in the morning. So I'll take it. And that means that maybe if I stay up late enough tonight, I can open up the windows and we can have fresh air all night. So yeah, I don't know what got me on that, but I'm just damn pumped. So let me say what's up to everybody here hanging out in the chat. We got Lamontre Gillard in the chat. What's happening, Lamontre? And we've got Necro with his amazing artwork on Instagram. If you don't follow him, find him on over there. We got Eli Cortez, one of our great Death Squad mods and channel members over here. Thank you so much for hanging out, saying what's up. We got Raymond Maliber, another channel member. Thank you so much for hanging with us tonight, Raymond. Did you guys have fun last night? I know I didn't get as worked up about that Friday the 13th Crystal Lake TV show news as I did the previous time, but I had a good time and hanging out with you guys and Fachi on Monday doing start bench cut. That was really killer as well. We got Big Rod in the chat. What's happening, Big Rod? Great to see you. Another great channel member here. We got Robert the Wolfman. Ow, ow! Another Death Squad mod and a very dear friend. We've got Ryan Swayze 88. What's happening, Ryan? Great to see you tonight. Nicholas McMath. Holy cow, 11 likes. Well, there's 18 people in the chat now, so hopefully it shot on up there. Super pumped to bring on our guest here, and just want to say what's up to you guys really quick. Let me know also in the chat, are you hip to ROCKLIN Graves Productions? I mean, I'm guessing you probably are because Evan's channel has just like caught fire this year here in 2024, and for good reason. So let me know, and if not, there's a link in the description below so you can go ahead and subscribe to his channel right meow. He just crossed 40K, so super awesome. And yeah, go check his stuff out when you can. And we've got Liana in the chat. What's happening, Liana? Great to see you, of course. Love hanging out with you. I'm sure you'll bring up some awesome music topics later, Liana. And we got Aaron Click in the chat. What's happening, Aaron? Great to see you here. Vinny Elliott, welcome back to the channel. Vinny says, what's up, Davey and everyone? Congratulations on 1,000 subs. Thank you so much, man. Feels great to cross that milestone. It felt like it took forever at the end, but it was a nice release when it finally happened. We got Jigsaw hanging out. What's happening, Jigsaw? Grumpy Gorehound. Yes, Grumpy. I recognize you from Killjoy Jake's chat. Thanks for coming on over here and hanging out. Let's see who else we've got here. I think we might be all caught up with everyone in the chat. Necro found ROCKLIN Graves through Splattercast. Hell yeah. Yeah, shout out to Splattercast as well. I think that may have been the first time that I saw him also. And then just sort of heard little chitter chatter. And then, of course, when I go to subscribe to his channel, it's like 34,000 subs. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, why didn't I hear about this guy sooner? You guys hear me talk about this all the time in my streams, that for whatever reason, YouTube just doesn't want to give me all the good stuff all at once. They make me, peter around for a little bit, look for something to watch, be unimpressed with everything. They keep on trying to get me to resub to Joe Blow, and it ain't happening, YouTube. So just stop it and keep on shoveling over the great content creators like Evan. Hell yeah. Liana did her homework, and holy crap, it was great. Oh, you're talking about a movie. Okay. Normally wait till the first day of spooky season. Our poll in the chat. So yeah, we've got a poll here. Have you already decorated for spooky season? We've got, let's see here, 38%, tied at 38% is I've started, but nowhere near done. And no, I like to wait until October. And then just 23% is you know it. Yeah, interested to know. All right, so that's got 13 votes. So you guys can just go ahead and hammer away at that one for the remainder of the evening. And yeah, let's see here. It looks like we've said hello to everybody here. So real quick though, Aaron says, I don't subscribe to the whole the 1st of September is the start of spooky season or that it's Halloween Eve. Now you're just making stuff up, people. I like to start like really diving into the scary movies in September, but yeah, I don't start decorating really until yeah, that last week, maybe first week of October. Yeah, I hear you, Vinny. We have horror stuff up year round. Absolutely. So yeah, guys, let's see here. We are at about that time. And yeah, let's just go ahead and bring in Evan from ROCKLIN Graves. If you guys haven't seen what he does over there, I mean, the insightful essays, the in-depth analysis of, you know, horror films that we all really love. So it's really cool to see somebody go through a review and not so much in, it's not like it's not casual, but you can tell that it's been, you know, either written or very well rehearsed and very, you know, just covering all the bases as far as maybe some of the stuff that you miss when you watch a movie, you can pick up on it after watching somebody like Evan kind of break down, you know, what he sees in there. So yeah, really pumped to go ahead and bring him on. I do want to welcome Slasher Fred into the chat. What's happening? Slasher Fred says, I think what makes scary movies is that deals with fear of everyday lives because the movie. Yeah, I do think, yeah, because Carrie deals with bullying. They all try to find a way to relate with us on some level, right? It's just like the comic book characters that we like, or the music that we choose to listen to. Yeah, we relate with certain aspects. And I also think, Slasher Fred, one of the things that I like about scary movies is that real life is really scary stuff. So for me, the screen offers this protection and sort of just like you're on a roller coaster, like you're experiencing something thrilling, but it's not like really dangerous. Maybe very, very seldomly with a roller coaster. But everybody, welcome Slasher Fred to the chat. And yeah, guys, let's go ahead and bring on in Evan from ROCKLIN Graves Productions. How are you doing, Evan? Good to see you, man.
Good. Yeah, thank you for the glowing intro you gave there. That was very kind of you.
I could have kept on going. Here, we'll pop you back out. No, I'm just
to be clear, my videos are all completely scripted. There's no way any of that's coming. You know, I'm reading off a teleprompter.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to tell that. That's awesome. And I do think scripted is a really good way to go. Like, I don't do pre-recorded stuff as much, but yeah, I definitely like have my things where I'm like, oh, I have to mention this. And I just try to find the most natural way to bring it up. But what I do really appreciate about what you do over there is it's like, I can tell that it comes from this place of, you know, really loving what you're experiencing when you watch a film or, you know, just when you watch film in general. And then there's that knowledge, right? Because there's definitely a spectrum of knowledge with audience members. And so it's really interesting to me to listen to somebody that is picking up on the smaller nuances and stuff like that. And full disclosure, I was like that guy when I was a kid in high school where like I made my friends rewatch these movies and tried to talk to them about them all the time. And I think my friends were like, dude, like, you're like this close to getting kicked out of the group.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel that vibe there.
Totally. I've always said that I started the channel because I wanted to talk about horror way more than anyone around me wanted to hear about it. It's really just storytelling in general. Like I'm just such a nerd for stories, be it a movie, TV show, book, a video game, whatever the hell you want to talk about. I love the mechanics of storytelling. I'm very drawn to that kind of thing, and to have this outlet where I just get to basically nerd out in the most self-indulgent way I possibly can is pretty fun.
Yeah, no, it's got to be awesome, especially like, you know, I had mentioned that you've seen like a pretty significant channel growth here, especially this year in 2024. I mean, you just crossed 40,000 probably like a week ago or something like that. Like last, you know, right? Because you were
a couple of days ago. Yeah, I think it was on Friday the 13th.
Right? I think it was before because we did the Terrifier thing on Thursday, and you had mentioned that you would. Okay, so it was that night. So we're about a week out, and I was just scrolling around today on your channel. I'm like, oh, and he's already passed 41,000. Like, like, but that's the cool thing about YouTube is they sort of reward you. And then I think another thing too about like what you do specifically is that, it's got that higher production value because it's coming from, a really informed, well thought out source. Like your Dracula, the Bram Stoker's Dracula thing was awesome. Like,
Oh, geez, thank you. That video tanked, so I appreciate you saying
oh,
that.
I had a great time with it. It made me want to like sit down and watch the movie right away. So,
It's a great movie.
yeah, and it is cool to hear. It's refreshing just to hear everything looked at in a fair way. So it's like, hey, the things that don't work for you, like you find a smooth way of articulating that.
Yeah,
So to where it's not like you're, all the stuff that I love has things about it that I don't really love. But
yeah.
sometimes in this day and age, people sort of want to think of like, oh, you're either trashing it or you're praising it. And like, how do you like, have you always been that nuanced? Is that something that you've gained like the older you've gotten? Um,
Uh,
and
I don't know if I've always been that nuanced with that. I'm sure when I was younger, I was probably a little more black and white about things, but it's certainly something that I like to focus on my channel is to try and make sure that I'm being like level-headed and nuanced and acknowledging the gray because that's where I think
yeah.
the most interesting stuff is. I have no interest in just falling 100% into one camp or another when it comes to anything.
Hmm.
Generally, I like to try and find things that I don't like about movies that I love, and I like to try and
Hmm.
find good things within movies that are overall things that I didn't connect with. Which I think, like Exorcist Believer, was an interesting video for me because I didn't give it a positive review at all. It's a mess of a movie, and I bashed it a lot, but there were a couple things that I acknowledged for being good. So then I've kind of got this reputation now where people are like, "Yeah, this guy thought Exorcist Believer was like a great movie." It's like, God, like no,
Yeah.
you
Just
got to
wait
be
until you
able
hear
to,
what yeah. Just wait
yeah.
until they hear about how you feel regarding Halloween Ends.
Oh, gee, I mean
Right.
that I'm never gonna live that one down. But my
But
favorite comments come on the Halloween Ends video because I get a lot of comments of people who are like, "I still don't like the movie, but now I understand why someone would." I'm like, "That's my favorite kind of comment."
yeah.
I don't need to convince you to change your mind, but if I can give, like, another perspective where you then go, "Oh, okay, maybe I didn't see it like that," and you can
Hmm.
at least respect it from a certain angle, that's my favorite thing. I love that.
Yeah, and even giving it another chance, like, if you didn't like it, I think that's a really big thing.
Yeah,
We talk about that a lot over here on the channel. That's one thing I won't shut up about because, I like a lot of movies that maybe, like, take some pretty big swings, and even if they not every ball gets hit out of the park, like, to me, because I come from a creative background from, like, playing music for so long in my life and everything, I like to sort of I feel like the audience, to a certain degree, needs to meet the creator like part way. It doesn't necessarily have to be halfway, but
yeah.
it's almost like sometimes you got to give them a little credit. Like I'm a big I'm a big Rob Zombie Halloween 2 fan. Like of course not everything about it, but
Were we talking
I
about that on the show the other night?
we may have mentioned that the other night on the Terrifier 2 stream. Yeah,
It
and
wasn't with
it
you. We mentioned it on Beyond the Splattered Graves recently because I also like that movie.
yeah, and that's one of those things where it's like, it just celebrated 15 years. And so, put together a little video talking about it. And that was same kind of thing. People dropping comments that are like, I'm watching this movie again and giving it another shot because
Yeah,
of, your this stream,
it's the
and so
best.
it is really cool. And I think it's like, is that something that you find? Does that like bleed into other things in your life? Like you don't have to get specific, but just like the way you feel, maybe feel about like social issues or whatever. Do you find that, having that kind of take a step back, think about the thing?
Oh, did he freeze or did I freeze? Someone's frozen.
Oh, there we go. I'm back. Sorry,
Okay.
everybody. The internet's struggling. Are you there, Evan?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here. You're all good.
Sorry. Every now and then in the desert, I don't know, internet
Sure.
gets kooky.
Yeah,
But I
my
was curious,
igloo gets issues sometimes too. It's all good.
Nova Scotian igloo.
Yeah.
So do you find that that nuance and everything bleeds into other things, like other aspects of your life where, you try to take the most fair-minded look? And do you think that's something that was inspired by the way that you analyze art?
Uh, I don't know if it was inspired by the way that I analyze art, but I definitely do uh tend to play the middle on a lot of things. Just
Yeah.
like in general. And I think one of the most important qualities to develop as you get older is to understand when you don't know enough about something to weigh in on it. So
Sure.
for me, I always try to like figure out how much information I have about something and how qualified I am to, you know,
Sure.
share my stance on
Exactly.
it. But yeah, I tend to try to be like neutral and pay attention to nuance and things. But of course, as with everyone, that's it's not always the case, and there are some things where I'm just a narrow-minded idiot about it. So it depends, I suppose.
All
But yeah,
right.
I
Fair
don't I
enough.
don't
Fair
tend to
enough.
fall like super aggressively into like one way or another.
Sure.
Um, on most things, I tend to wind up like somewhere in the middle.
Absolutely. I totally hear you. And I think sometimes even with me, like I like to rewatch movies and like re-experience, the art that I really enjoy. And is the bunny okay? I just as long as the bunny is okay. I
The
just
bunny's all good. Yeah, he's chilling.
okay. Um what was I saying? I was saying something and it was gonna lead to something else. But hey, how about we'll just switch gears here? Um, you've got a piano there. I can see it, so you can't lie to me and say it doesn't exist.
There's another
Um,
one back there,
oh, perfect.
an acoustic,
Are
yeah.
you and I'm guessing you're a big music guy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is that
music is sorry, go ahead?
I was just gonna say, is that like your one of your big loves, like your first love?
Yeah, creatively, music was definitely the first thing I was drawn to, like, even before I got infatuated with, like, more direct forms of storytelling. Um, I've been playing music pretty much my whole life. I play guitar and piano, and I also do my very damnedest to sing. Um, and I love it. It's something I haven't been able to do as much recently because I'm working through a strain injury from playing too much.
Oh, geez.
So I haven't really been able to play a ton recently, which is why I'm grateful that I have other creative outlets outside of music. But yeah, music is something that is very, very near and dear to my heart, and I, have leather pads for fingertips at this point from playing guitar so much. Um, yeah, and
Yeah,
and you're also you play guitar, is it?
yeah, I grew up playing. I did like classical lessons for a couple years, and then did rock lessons on guitar.
Yeah,
Started my own band, and I was like 13 or something like that.
sure.
Just cheesy pop punk kind of stuff that I was into. I grew up
Yeah,
listening to like 80s, 90s skate punk, like No
yeah,
Effects and Face to Face and stuff like that. So, yeah, bass, guitar, sing. I like to write
awesome.
songs. I like to help people produce songs too. I think that's been one of my favorite things. So,
It's fun.
have you been in bands before? Or do you have somewhere like where people can listen to your music like right
Uh,
now?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I record my own music. I'm working on an album right now, actually, with
Sweet.
some songs I've been sitting on for way too long that I finally want to get recorded. Um, I mean, I have music up on Spotify just under my name. It's just an album that I released many years ago, which I I don't think turned out well. But there's a single that I did with a guy from Australia called his name was Behind Sundown is what he goes by, and I did a song with him that's also on Spotify. You can find it on my page. Um, but I do have a music centric YouTube channel where I'll upload like original songs or covers of things every once in a while. Using this thing. I used to do it very regularly, but it's more of an occasional thing now.
Gotcha. Okay. So total blind spot. My bad. I should add that to the description.
I
Totally
don't
missed
share it
that
like
one
I
there.
don't really share it much. I haven't talked about it, so it's not a blind spot on your part.
Well, and YouTube is such a jerk anyways because it made me wait so long to find your channel to begin with. So, what can you do? But
Yeah.
isn't that kind of how you always feel though? Like I feel the same way like every record I've ever worked on where it's like I feel like all George Lucasy about it where after it comes out I'm like, "Oh, if only I had more time, like I
Yeah.
could go back and redo it and blah blah blah."
Well, and what happened with that the last I guess it was an EP, it's about a half hour long. What happened with that one was that I got too frustrated trying to. The issue was I was trying to learn how to record music while recording an album, which is not how you should do it.
Sure.
So I wound up just getting really frustrated with it and compromising way too much on the recording side of things. And I think that the writing in the songs was good, but I think I honestly ruined it with how poorly it was recorded. So I mean, I've even considered going back and just redoing a lot of it, but right now my focus is on this new record that I'm piecing together, which I feel very good about, and I'm excited to put it out there.
Hell yeah, man. Let us know when it's ready to go, and I'll you know, give it a listen and spread the word. For sure. I love that shit. Now, do you write, is it, you said you try to sing, like, do you have some, is it some of it instrumental, or is it all like singer-songwriter kind of stuff, and you're just being, you know, self-deprecating about your voice?
Most of it is singer-songwriter, most of what I do. Cool. But I also do like some instrumental stuff. Like I like writing just like solo piano pieces as well. I've been working on some like kind of somber, dark classical music recently, which has been a lot of fun to work on because I love that kind of like old ghosty vibe. Which is kind of, a lot of the pieces I've been working on are kind of, it's been interesting because I'm tying them into a book that I'm working on right now. So while I'm writing the piece, I'm like imagining images from this book. So that's been an interesting like creative journey.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's wild. You're an insanely creative guy.
I just have ADHD. You're all over I just can't stay focused on one thing.
Oh,
that's all it is.
No, but that's really like it is amazing though, just to be able to put your energy into that, and not only, you know, be able to do that, but just you know, to conceive the ideas to begin with. You know, I think that's pretty unique. Sure. You know, doing the music and writing a story to go along with it. Are there any like, are there like any movie soundtracks or scores that stand out in particular to you? I mean, outside of the bangers that we all know, the Terrifiers and the Halloweens and everything like that, is there something that like maybe some people are sleeping on?
Are we talking about horror?
I mean, really, whatever.
I'd
imagine you're a massive film fan just overall, right?
Yeah. I guess people aren't really sleeping on this. You ever seen the movie Her, the Joaquin Phoenix movie? Or Spike Jonze, I suppose.
Haven't.
I know what you're talking about, but I haven't. Absolutely incredible. One of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. But it's not really slept on. It's very well respected. So I'm just looking through my library here. I'm gonna throw out an oddball here.
All right.
There is a series on YouTube. It's all an animation that's all been drawn in paint, frame by frame. And this guy's been doing it for many years. It's the Big Les Show. You ever seen that?
No.
So it's a really weird, silly Australian stoner comedy that was started by this guy when he was in high school. But then it got progressively more introspective as the years went on. And it's very interesting. So there's the Big Les Show is the main thing, and then they have a couple like spin-offs like Sassy the Sasquatch. But the soundtracks in those series are some of the most beautiful things I have ever heard. It's truly incredible. And like there are certain pieces from the soundtrack to like Sassy the Sasquatch, for example, that have literally inspired full stories that I'm like fleshing out now, because there's such a deep emotionality at the core of some of the writing there. I'm trying to look through though.
That's amazing. I'll have to check this out. I've never like heard of this before, but it reminds me kind of the you ever see the Brad Neely stuff?
I don't think so.
The like China, Illinois, and he did all these ridiculous songs. It looks like similar animation, like this really fun, like, you know, pretty basic, but like really charming kind of way of doing the animation.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. I'll have to check these guys out for sure.
Yeah.
And Liana says Atonement score is incredible. I haven't seen Atonement.
I mean, there are so many, like, I love soundtracks. The soundtrack to like the series Broadchurch. Have you ever seen that British cop drama? Amazing.
That's all my parents watch, are the British cop dramas.
So you must have really haven't seen Broadchurch?
I haven't. I'm terrible. I'm still rewatching, you know, all the Friday the 13th and the
Necromechanical. Mew is amazing. I love his music. Absolutely fantastic.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
And so do you have any aspirations of like, I mean, maybe at some point working on a film as far as the writing standpoint, or do you shoot? Are you interested in directing, or do you at least want to like put together some music for a movie?
I mean, my ultimate goal career-wise is to get into telling my own stories, be that through writing, directing movies, or through writing books or whatever it is. That has been like a serious passion for me over the last couple of years that I discovered like fairly late. Like it wasn't until I was like 19, 20 where I was like, I could write some stories. And then I got really into it. Like working on this book has been a very eye-opening experience where I was like, oh, this is what I need to be doing. So yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, absolutely. I have a short film, well, 2 or 3 short films that I've been mulling over. Main roadblock has been just finding casting for them. Um,
Oh, yeah.
but yes, I'm absolutely planning on getting into the creative side of storytelling as well because love what I'm doing and I'm incredibly grateful for all of this, but I really want to
Mhm.
just be telling my own stories ultimately. What about you? Do you want to do that kind of stuff or?
I wouldn't be against it. I've got my ideas and my, stories that I, write the pieces out in my head, and how much makes it to the page that's
Yeah.
the struggle for me, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'm a huge like I love stuff like The Evil Dead. Like that's one of my favorite franchises. And
Yeah, me too.
like ever since they started like kind of branching out and kind of going wherever they want with the story, but with the caveat that there's 3 books that exist like within this universe, but they're all just different volumes of the Book of the Dead. I'm just like, oh my God, there's so many possibilities for that. So I'm like, uh, thinking about writing like an old Western kind of Evil Dead
They can
story.
do anything now. There's
uh,
so much potential.
yeah. The ones that I've thrown out a couple times, it's like an old Western. I would like to see one in like Northern Africa during the
Oh
colonial
yeah.
days. And then I'd even like to see one where it's like one of the books is on like one of Columbus's ships, and that's like explains how it gets to the Americas. But that also explains like a whole bunch of crazy shit that happens on that journey.
Hell yeah.
Um, so those are my just like wacky ideas. And then, I think I mentioned this the other week when we were on the stream. I grew up in Southeast Alaska, and I'm a huge like Romero is one of my favorite, like probably my favorite director. Like
Mm,
I love his first like 4 zombie films. I love. I mean, I love The Crazies is great. Martin is one of like the best edited films I've ever seen, and like a sleeper for his best, at least his best outside of the Dead series. But so I have this idea, like I have a lot of this story written out that's basically like a Romero style zombie story that takes place in my hometown. And the thing about that is there's no road in or out. So it was boat or air is how you got out.
mm,
So if the zombie apocalypse happened, you'd figure that they could have some semblance of like a regular life, but similar to like Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead, like through time, like the power structure would start to become corrupted, and people would want something different than what everyone else wanted, and like
right.
it's so sort of playing into like the politics of how that can all go. And I just had an idea to call it like Dead Winter, and so it's just this, I don't know, Romero style zombie.
I like
I
that.
miss those days. And not to say that The Walking Dead isn't a Romero style zombie, but I feel like TV shows just like it's just a bunch of breadcrumbs and you never get to the meal.
Sure.
So television, I'm sort of like, like tell them, like show me a movie, or if you're gonna do a TV series, give me like a mini series. So there
I've
is
been
like
so on
a
board with the
definitive
miniseries
beginning and end.
format. It works so
Yeah.
well because there were so many shows that I got into that just stretched out way too long. Like, I either want a show that's like 4 seasons max, unless you're Better
Hmm.
Call Saul and you can justify doing 6, and then it's fine. Or
Yeah.
just like a miniseries like Haunting of Hill House or something like that. I've been rewatching.
Yeah.
Actually, I just watched the 3rd episode of Last of Us again. The Last of Us I thought was phenomenal. Um,
That's
but,
one I still need to get on board with. But
have
yeah,
you
I like
played the
that
games?
idea too. What's that?
Have you played the games?
I haven't.
Mm.
I am so behind on modern gaming, Evan.
The Last of
I
Us
still
came out
play a lot of
11 years ago.
Castlevania, like the first 4. Um,
Yeah.
Oh, and then we froze for another second, but we're back.
That's all right.
I play a shitload of Resident Evil 4. So
Hell
when
yeah.
they remastered that, that was like my life
Dude, that
for a
remake
while.
was so good. It
Yeah.
was
So
amazing.
I'd probably absolutely love Last of Us, and maybe that's my worry, is that it would just take up a bunch of my time.
It only takes 10 hours to finish. So
Oh, okay.
you
All
can get
right.
away pretty easily. But what was it? There was something I was going to ask you, and now I can't remember what it was. I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, yes. Just based on what you were saying there, if you could do one like reboot or legacy sequel or just continuation or remake or whatever in a franchise, would it be Evil Dead for you?
Mm-hmm. That's a tough one because it's like there's so much good stuff in there. I mean, that's probably what I'd be most passionate about is something like Evil Dead. When I saw the first movie, it just sort of like broke away like all of my perceptions about what a movie could be, and that like, you know, three people could make a movie. Like, because at some point during the filming, it's just like I think three people on set,
Yep.
you know, towards the end of that shoot. And so I was just like, man, like, you can be really creative, like you can still accomplish so much. And sometimes for me, sometimes the ambition makes up for a lack of like slick production. And I think that's one of the things that I brought over from, I love punk rock music. And I think I brought that into my love of horror as I got older. But I've been a fan of horror since I was a little kid, but finding punk rock made me realize like, oh, it's the ambition of it all. If I could reboot any series, like I'd want to bring back the Prowler. I think the Prowler's got such a rad look. But I think it's maybe a little bit of a boring movie.
I agree. That
So
would be a
that's
remake I would stand behind.
yeah, I think you could update it, you know, make it an Iraqi war vet or Afghan, or, you know, just like bring it to that modern setting that we're in and still tell a really like relatable, great story. And do like a really great whodunit, because I love those. Like I thought Thanksgiving was awesome. And
Hell
like
yeah.
I'm actually pretty pumped on Thanksgiving. And I feel like a lot of people are just sort of like, it was okay. And I was like, are you kidding me? It is a masterclass in like revenge slashers. Like it's Eli Roth showing his best stuff.
I love like My Bloody Valentine. It's like one of my favorite slasher
Mm-hmm.
movies, and Thanksgiving
Yeah.
felt like such a love letter to that. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a
I
better remake of My Bloody Valentine than the actual fucking remake of My Bloody Valentine. So
Yeah, and I think right there, you know, both My Bloody Valentine and The Prowler are both like 81. I think they're maybe like 5 months apart. They're very similar to one another. And I think that that's that whole, you know, that revenge whodunit slasher. Like I really dig that. So yeah, I'm right there with The Prowler. I think My Bloody Valentine, like bringing it back and making sure that it actually does get a sequel. It's too bad because both movies leave a cliffhanger and nothing ever happened. Like,
yeah, because the issue with it is that they're setting the sequel up to be a killer who no one's interested in watching.
yeah.
It's played as a reveal, but there's not really any room for like an interesting slasher movie after that, unless you do another whodunit, which would just feel kind of like trite at that point.
Yeah, you'd have to do a copycat kind of thing. I mean, what, Axel loses his arm in the first
Yeah.
so yeah, it wouldn't be a secret, but I hope that that's what they do with Thanksgiving. Like I really hope that Thanksgiving just continues with the same person that plays John Carver. I don't want to I don't know if you're in the chat and you haven't seen it. I'm sorry, go watch Thanksgiving right now and then come back and finish the stream.
Dude, the
But
opening scene of that, like the Black Friday thing or whatever it was one of the craziest sequences. Like, as soon as you see that, you're like, "Holy shit, what am I in for
yeah.
right now?" It's so good.
Yeah, my wife was like, she needed like a break after that. She was like, for her, that's the worst part of the movie because it just like really gives her that anxiety. And I'm like, well, I guess that's the kind of the whole point, sort of sets
Yeah,
the tone for the rest of it.
totally.
And yeah, I mean, what's not to like about Thanksgiving? I hope that in the sequel, it's just the same guy and it just plays like a regular slasher.
Yep.
And then you could even do a third one where you do have a copycat, and then you've got like your kind of three different sort of slashers, just boom, boom, boom. And people will be a lot happier with that than they were with Halloween Ends, probably.
Probably.
Even
Yeah.
though I love it.
Yeah. No, it wasn't a crowd pleaser though. There's no question about that.
What?
Oh, there you go.
It's funny. Like I saw it opening night, and thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. I'll hit you up in the DMs. I saw it opening night, and we walked out, and I was just thinking that was amazing. Like that was that was like the curveball that I wanted. And then it was
Mhm.
really funny just to see how everyone was reacting. And it was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, that
Like,
was the
yeah.
hate towards that movie was and still is. It's so crazy. I mean, David Gordon
Hmm.
Green, that poor guy, gets so much shit now because of that.
Do you think that poured over into Exorcist Believer? Do you think people were tougher on Exorcist Believer because they didn't like Halloween Ends?
Yes, but I still don't think Exorcist Believer is a good movie. Um, like, despite really enjoying Halloween Ends, I was confused as to why they thought that Green's handling of the Halloween franchise would at all translate to The Exorcist. I was like, this doesn't make any sense from the beginning.
Yeah.
And you can see it in the movie. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. But I don't think it was nearly as bad as like the broad opinion was at the time that the movie came out. I think there was some good stuff, especially in the first act of that movie, that got overshadowed by the pre-existing hate for David Gordon Green.
There's a hate David Gordon Green bias going on in Exorcist Believer.
I think so.
Yeah, and hopefully he, it's got to be a bummer because they spent a bunch of money on that, and then there he goes. Hopefully his next film gets him feeling good again.
Yeah. I mean, he has to know, like, when he's making these, that he's gonna get hate for. Like, he obviously, everyone knew that Halloween Ends was gonna be a divisive movie. There was no way that they were like, "Yeah, this is gonna go over well with everyone. This is gonna be fine." Um, but, yeah, I didn't think Believer was, like, I didn't even think it was the worst Exorcist movie. I still think Exorcist II is worse.
Yeah, I mean, Exorcist
Um,
2 is just a nightmare. Like,
yeah, yeah, I mean, it's kind of fascinating in,
yes.
like, a morbid curiosity way, because the whole time you're just going, like, how did this happen? Like, how does this exist? How did so many people review this thing and look through it over production, and people wrote this
Mhm.
script and then said, "Here's your lines," and then actors went, "Sounds good." And then people with cameras filmed it, and then editors were like, "We can put this together." And then distributors were like, "Yep, we're good."
Yeah.
I don't understand how that happened. So, like, Exorcist II is kind of interesting to watch because of that. But I thought
Yeah.
Believer was a more fun movie, at least. It's like Believer, if it
Yeah.
wasn't an Exorcist movie, I don't think would get nearly the same amount of hate that it does, because it would just be like a bland, generic possession movie, and that can be fun to watch.
Mhm.
But it was the Exorcist name that definitely put a lot, rightfully so, because the Exorcist is,
Sure.
you know, an absolute masterpiece, and it's contender for my favorite movie of all time. So
Yeah, it
I get
is.
it.
Yeah, that original Exorcist is amazing, and it seems like, there's plenty of love for the first film and a ton of love for the third film. But
Mhm.
other than that, it seems like the franchise is pretty spotty, as
Yeah,
far as
as a franchise, I could care less about it. Even as much
yeah.
as I love Exorcist III, I think it's great. Um, I wish that the
But it
studio
kinda
hadn't
operates.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying I wish that the studio hadn't intervened with the 3rd act of Exorcist III, because, uh, originally, Blatty had it filmed much closer to the novel, how the novel ends, which is a more, like, quiet, subdued ending, but they're like, "No, you have to have an exorcism in here," so they kinda just
Mhm.
shoehorn this random priest into the 3rd act of the movie, and then have this really crazy, bombastic exorcism that I feel like takes away from the impact of the movie. And I like the ending quite a bit more in the director's cut, but the footage from that is so rough that it's really just something you
Mhm.
watch out of curiosity and not as, like, a way to enjoy the film. So I wish the ending was closer to the book,
For sure.
um, but Exorcist III is fantastic.
Yeah, and it almost seems like you could just those movies could each be like standalones that exist in this like in that world or whatever. But yeah, for marketing reasons, they're like, no, we can't call it Legion. It's going to be called
Well,
Exorcist 3.
and this is
you
the
know?
thing, like, I think it says a lot about The Exorcist that the one sequel that is, like, widely considered to be very good is almost completely unrelated. I mean, obviously, like, it's very tied
Yeah.
into it, but it's a completely different movie. Which is why I'm so excited for Flanagan's Exorcist. Like, I feel so insanely spoiled right now, because if you had asked me a while ago who I would want to do Nosferatu, I would have said Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
Not just because he's my favorite director, but I think because he just would understand that perfectly. If you'd asked me who I
Mhm.
wanted to do Frankenstein, I would have said Guillermo del Toro. And if you asked me who I wanted to do Exorcist, I would have said Mike Flanagan. And all three of those things are happening now. So I'm like, what?
That's wild.
And we're getting Lee Winnell's Wolfman, which I never thought about, but I was so on board when I heard about it because his Invisible
Yeah.
Man remake is phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they've found like some really good like, you know, creative folks that kind of just have that specific, they have their own sort of specific like artistic corner.
Yep.
I think that's what's and so you figure out like, all right, this person does this thing really well. Let's bring them on over here and have them tackle this project instead of, you know, the way it sort of was when I was growing up, you know, in the 80s and they were sequelizing these slasher movies. They're just like, who can we get that can just do it and do it in like a month?
Yeah.
Like that was sort of like, you know, like we remember the directors a
Sure.
lot more than most people would because we love the movies, but a lot of them are like one-offs. So yeah, it's amazing. You know, especially man, Robert Eggers. I mean, the nerdiest of the nerdy, like his movies are,
Oh, dude.
they're just
It's
the
for
amount of
film
work
nerds.
and
Yeah.
detail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I put on the subtitles because I don't want to miss anything with like the accents and the dialect. I mean, especially with The Witch, like
I
I
have
had to
the
put the
screenplay
subtitles
book
on.
for The
Be like,
Lighthouse for that same reason.
yeah. And to me, it just makes it more enjoyable. Like I'm that kind of nerd where I'm like, no, I don't mind. Like I want to know about all the detail. Like I want to know about the work that was put into it, you know,
We can
because then
talk
it
about
makes me
Eggers,
appreciate it.
but I did want to mention Movie Misfits Video said their favorite exorcism movie of all time is The Exorcism of Emily Rose. You, my friend, have phenomenal taste because that, in my opinion, is easily the greatest exorcism movie that's not The Exorcist.
There you go. Yeah. That's
Exorcism
awesome.
of Emily Rose, my favorite Scott Derrickson movie. I like it more than Sinister and Black Phone. And I think it's a goddamn masterclass in how to do an exorcism movie. It's so good. I got to do a video on it at some point. I've been really, really
And
wanting to.
and I have to add it to the list because I've not seen it, and this is like the third time I've heard about it within the last week. So somebody's telling me something here. And
You got to watch it.
right now it's you and Chris Snyder from Movie Misfits Video. I know. No judgment. I'm an old man and I'm stuck in my ways. I'm trying to do better, Evan. I'm trying, man.
Well, we'll see.
But yeah, I am compiling a list for the spooky season to be able to watch some new stuff because that's one thing that my wife is always like, have you seen this? Like, I want to watch something that like neither one of us has seen.
Let me know what you think of this when you
always,
watch it.
hell yeah.
So,
And yeah, Chris
sorry.
has I just want to say Chris's channel is awesome. He's bringing it back. He's rebranded it as Movie Misfits Video, and he's going to be dropping some really cool Saw content and Scream content for like a Who Killed Who, his own take on Who Killed Who. So he's going to be coming back in a big way. So yeah, if you like that, you can get more of him on over there.
That's awesome. Oh yeah, this is a cool looking channel. I'm gonna have to check this out. So what is your most anticipated movie that's coming out this year? Obviously, that isn't out already.
Yeah. I think mine is I'm really looking forward to It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. I'm a massive, like every year I become a bigger and bigger Black Christmas fan.
Same.
And I just think like it gets creepier and creepier to me. Same as like Halloween. It just feels it feels very real.
Yep.
Like this is the way that real creeps actually are. And there's something like just really like unhuman about Billy that is intriguing to me. So and I think Dave and Bruce are really smart about what they do. They're, you know, they know what they're doing on the technical side, but then they're also like, you know, really smart fans. So they know how to put together that story that's going to make sense and, you know, fit the world of Black Christmas. So really looking forward to seeing how they wrap that up, because since they're adding to the lore, I really love the way the first one was shot. It had that awesome kind of slow burn. And it seems like the conclusion looks even better, and they brought back the same crew. So I got high hopes for that one.
I have not watched It's Me, Billy, but I will tell you why. Despite Black Christmas being on my Mount Rushmore slasher movies, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I don't want to know anything else. I want absolutely no context to that first movie,
Yeah.
because part of the thing that draws me so much to it is how open-ended the conclusion of it is, and I don't
Hmm.
want that to be altered in any way. I'm sure that Dave is doing phenomenal work with it. I really, really enjoy Dave's content, and he really understands, especially like slow burn, creeping horror. He
Yeah.
gets how to make that work, and I'm sure this is great. But just that like nerd in me is like, I don't want to know anything. And the thing is, like, I'm sure that whatever he's doing is going to be so good that I'm going to be thinking about it when I rewatch Black Christmas, and I don't want that.
Yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. And I think so. This is the weird thing too, is like, is Black Christmas really open-ended? Because you can hear through the song at the end that the phone does start ringing again.
This is true.
And they just drugged Jess so she would sleep.
Yeah.
I'm thinking as the camera pulls away and there's like one police officer like outside the house, I'm like, well, she's dead.
I guess
Like
I just
that's
love how
it.
creepy it
Like,
is, and I don't want to know anything else.
oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And I mean, I can at least say this for the first chapter is you don't learn anything more about Billy other than he's still alive and
okay,
still a total creep on the phone.
right.
But I am curious to see what they do with it. But
We'll
yeah, I
see.
totally get you.
I should mention as well to Movie Misfits, he just keeps winning me over here because his most anticipated movie of the year is Nosferatu,
Yeah, I
which
was gonna
is,
ask you.
I mean, it's not only my most anticipated movie of the year, this is the most excited I've been for a movie in as long as I can remember. This is by far my number one. I have been waiting for Nosferatu, like Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, for 10 years now, because he was talking about it on the behind, like a panel in Salem during the premiere of The Witch. He was talking about wanting to do Nosferatu, and after watching The Witch and getting the Blu-ray, I was like, oh, he would be perfect for this. So I've been
Mhm.
following this movie's troubled production with casting issues for literally a decade now. So to finally have it on the horizon, I'm so excited. I think Eggers is just the perfect fit for like a creepy gothic vampire movie, and I
Yeah,
cannot wait. What a Christmas present. Oh my
it's
god,
amazing.
Nosferatu, it's gonna be so good.
Are you gonna be in there Christmas Day? Or I mean,
Oh, I
maybe
sure
do you
am.
get to see him? You get to see him early? Does that?
Sometimes I get to
I
see
don't know how.
movies early, but I have been on record saying that if I get offered a screener for Nosferatu, I'm not gonna take it because,
Mhm.
I don't wanna see that for the first time, like, on a studio, like, in my studio on a monitor with, like, a watermark
Yeah,
on it. Not doing that.
sure.
There are certainly movies where, like, I've done it, like, In a Violent Nature, for example, when I got that screener offer, I was like, "Definitely, yeah," and I watched it at home, but, um, Nosferatu, I would not accept a screener for that. I'm gonna be there Christmas Day,
Hell yeah.
100%. I cannot wait.
Now, do you think that this is like the first thing that I thought of when I was like, "Oh, Robert Eggers is doing Nosferatu." I was like, "Man, I just hope that doesn't like pull him away from doing his own stuff down the line." Like, I hope that this is the movie that he's wanted to do his whole life, and that he still gets to kind of create his own stuff, and that he doesn't get dragged into just being like, "Oh, well, now you're going to adapt this and adapt that." I doubt that he would be that kind of guy,
Do you
just from
know
what
much
I've
of the
seen.
background on how this came to be?
No,
Okay, so
enlighten me.
let me put your heart to rest. Nosferatu has been Eggers' passion project since he was a kid. The original movie is the thing that got him into film. He saw like a bootleg cut of it on VHS or something. Saw that 1922 film, and it like formed his love for film and for horror. In high school, he directed a play of Nosferatu. He has
Jeez.
been working to try and get this made for his entire, like, this is the movie that he's been wanting to make. This is, his passion project. And there's more things that I've heard about that he's working on that have me very excited for what's to come after this, but this has been like up to this point the thing that he's been building up to.
Hell yeah.
So,
No,
yeah.
I mean, he is amazing.
Yeah,
Like
we
his
should also mention, yeah, to anyone who's arguing with Devonte in chat, he is a massive troll. He's
Yeah,
been,
yeah, I took care of him.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, please.
He's been an issue on my channel since I started,
Yeah.
basically, since I covered
I've seen
Exorcist. So
I've seen him in Dave's chats and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had to boot him out of here
Yep.
before. So
He'll just so you know, he will
he's
probably come back with an alt account.
oh, for sure. Yeah, friggin' Devontae.
Yeah.
I think
So
Cody Snyder calls him devoted Devontae.
yeah. So if anyone sees him in chat, just ignore him. It's not worth it.
Yeah, or any of the mods, just kick his ass out.
Yep. We don't want that energy. It's all
Yeah,
love,
not at
baby.
all. Exactly. The substance is Necro's most anticipated. I thought that trailer looked pretty interesting. I
Hearing a
also
lot of
really
buzz.
like seeing, yeah, I like seeing Dennis Quaid kind of let it fly and do a little something different too. So yeah, that one kind of came out of nowhere. Pretty cool. And then what Heretic is coming out? I can't tell how I feel about that. I don't know. It seems like maybe they give away the thing in the trailer and
Yeah, I
they
don't
didn't
know.
need to. I don't know, because I'm like, oh, I feel like I watched the movie now. Like I know he's a creep. So
Yeah. I mean, they're that's just to be expected at this point. The trailer's just gonna give away all the interesting stuff.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I
I'm
mean, like
getting
the Speak No Evil trailer did it too.
yeah, I won't even watch, like I saw the early teaser to Terrifier 3, but I did not watch the other trailer.
I did watch the other trailer. I probably won't watch any more marketing material.
Yeah.
I'm not making any more videos on it. As I said in my last video where I covered that, because I'm working on a colossally big Terrifier 2 video right now that bloated to about twice the size of my normal videos. So that's
Yeah, you were
gonna,
talking about that last week, like after
yeah,
listening to the commentary and really kind of diving into all the just,
yeah.
all the lore that, Leone maybe didn't really get to fit in, but
It's not that he didn't
tried
fit
to.
it in. It's that it's hinted at, but most of it is through like very vague symbolism. So you have to like kind of if you're gonna pick up on it without someone kind of guiding you in that direction, you have to have a lot of knowledge of like biblical imagery and symbolism
Yeah.
in order to like piece it all together, which I certainly don't. So the director's commentary was a huge help in clearing some of that up. But
Hmm.
there's a lot of meat to that movie that I don't think gets acknowledged nearly as much as it deserves to be.
Yeah, for sure. I think it I mean, my thoughts because we talked about it last week, but it just seems like the sequel took really made it a movie and a true story, or not a true story, but an actual like, narrative. And then seems like the third one here, like we could get, some answers to some questions, hopefully some more questions that can be answered later. I don't see them stopping with this thing. I think they're going to ride this train as long as they can. And like,
Mm.
why the hell not? Because art is on everyone's t-shirt when I go to a convention. And, regardless of whether or not people think that he's iconic or an icon at this point, like if he isn't yet, he is on his way.
Walk into a Spirit Halloween and tell me he's not an icon.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of my, and it's like I think some people are just like, well, let's wait until the third movie comes out, and it's like, but the hype's so big, it feels like the third movie's already out.
I mean,
Like,
I'm willing to do that. Like, if you want to treat Terrifier 2 as him like putting the ball on the T post and see if he can hit a home run with 3, then sure. But
yeah,
I think it's gonna happen. Like, I mean, people are
yeah.
already buying the Christmas tree sunglasses.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. People are rushing to Spirit to try to get the full size art. Like it's one of these things that's like, they're
Yeah.
running out. It's pretty amazing stuff. Like it's especially coming from the age that I came from, of course there was Ghostface when I was a little bit older and everything like that, but I feel like a lot of people were sort of like, where, like, is that just an era that's gone and you can't do that again? You can always bring back Michael, Freddy, and Jason, but we're not going to have like those, iconic characters that we can lean on. But
Well, that's what I thought.
yeah,
Because there'd
but
been
here
no
we
one that
go.
came around in so long to like prove it. But
Yeah.
uh yeah, it I don't know. I think and part of what made it work so well was that it wasn't just art that was so good, although obviously that's a huge thing. It was Sienna for me is such a huge
Mhm.
reason that that movie works so well. She's such a phenomenal final girl.
Yeah, she's great. Great performance
Oh
too.
my
And you
god.
really do feel like that connection with her. And I mean, even, you know, the music I think is really great. You know, Paul Wiley's score is amazing in the first film, and then I think like introducing like the synthwave tracks in the second film just gives it this added layer of complexity and just kind of shakes it up a little bit. And
Yeah,
they oddly enough, like they pair together really well, which was
totally.
something I thought I thought that of like Halloween Ends. Like I wouldn't necessarily listen to those tracks just like while I'm chilling out at home, but like all of the pop songs that they put in the movie, I'm like, well, this fits, like it just feels so good
Oh
watching the
yeah.
movie. You know, it's interesting the way that film can do something like that, like take something, sort of put it into context and have it be so much more enjoyable than it would be, or you know, at least for some jerk like me that only listens to loud, fast punk rock music.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. And then I was even, you know, one of the things that's interesting about like, you know, pairing the two, the visual and the audio, and I'm curious, I know you've got to head out here shortly, but I'm curious to know, like, do you think, I kind of think audio is more important than visuals, because it's like if you listen to a movie and close your eyes, like you could still picture things. And I just feel like that sound design and the music is so important. And then have you ever thought about like how crazy it is that for the most part, like John Carpenter is not only shooting the movie or directing the movie, but he's also controlling the soundtrack, and how powerful that can be.
Oh, I mean, 100%. I'm trying to remember who it was that said this, but there was a quote from someone that said, "If you want to make a horror movie not scary, cover your ears, don't close your eyes." And
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I think that's absolutely true. Like audio, you can have. I think you can even look at like YouTube as an example. You can have shit video quality, but if your audio is good, people will still watch your video. But
Yeah.
if you have, you know, amazing video quality and your audio sucks, people are gonna click off immediately,
Yeah.
which just it's such a testament to how important sound is when it comes to consuming media. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah,
There's something so visceral about sound sometimes too. Like not even just jump scare sounds, but like just, you know, feeling the weight of an object when you're watching a movie, and the
oh,
sound really helps sell that.
totally.
Um, yeah, it's remarkable.
You can transform
And
a
then, you
scene
know,
through proper sound design.
absolutely. Yeah, and you know, with what you're doing with your book, like, you know, writing a book and writing music to go along with it, I think is sort of like the, you know, the literary version of that. But I mean, I think, you know, movies are literature, obviously, that they're just
Totally.
like the next extension of literature. But I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, just to be able to pair a book with some music, like that is a pretty killer concept. And something that I haven't heard of before, but granted, I'm not the biggest reader. Um, Sometimes I just fall asleep when I try to read.
No,
It's
that's fair.
shameful, I
I
know.
wasn't much of a reader, like, most of my life, and then I think when I was, like, 20 or something, I was like, "I gotta stop using my phone so much before I go to bed." It's like because I was my head's always spinning enough as it is, so I was like, "I need to stop
Yeah.
filling it with other shit before I go to sleep." Um, so I decided to reread all the Harry Potter books because I hadn't read those since I was a kid, and then I was like, "Wow, that's pretty great." So I just bought, like, a ton of Stephen King, Haunting of Hill House, I read that, went through the Halloween novelizations. uh my girlfriend just bought me Dracula, which I'm gonna
Oh,
read
hell
before
yeah.
Nosferatu drops, but and now I love reading, and now I wanna be a writer, so it definitely
Damn.
changed a lot for me.
That's amazing, man. That's awesome to find something like that that just sorta, you fall in love with it and then it inspires you, you
Yeah,
know?
fell out of the sky. Yeah,
You know, a really good one, I mean, I love, if you haven't read Jaws, I recommend that one.
actually
I think
haven't.
what's I do think the movie's better, but there's some really cool elements that the book has that, you know, are, some of them are sort of oddball, but some of them, you know, I don't wanna say too much, but man, all I can say is that opening scene, I'm like, that
Yeah,
it's one of the best, like, first few pages of a book that I've read.
awesome.
And then if you like the older, like, horror stuff, like, I do think Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde's friggin' awesome. I've always been like, I've loved that character and that story for so long, ever
Totally.
since I was, like, 6 years old, and I would, it would be so awesome to see a real good interpretation of that, because I don't think that's one that we've gotten since 1931.
Oh, yeah. No, you can make it work very, very well, but, um You got me thinking now in terms of like, usually there's always the phrase, the book is better. And I heard you always hear that. Uh, oh, Grumpy Gorehound. Yeah. Pleasure to meet you too, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Take care, man.
That phrase always annoyed me. And then I started reading and I was like, oh, that's usually true.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it is true that the original novel is better than the adapted film, even if the film is very good. Even as someone who's a huge fan of The Exorcist, I still think the book is better. Book of Legion is definitely better. But one where I do think that the movie was better was The Shining. Totally. Like I read The Shining and Doctor Sleep. I liked Doctor Sleep more as a novel, but my favorite is still the movie of The Shining. I think just kind of transcended all of that. That's just such a perfect horror movie to me. There was a night last winter where we had a massive, blizzard, and I had the house all to myself, and I had just bought myself a nice fancy bottle of single malt scotch. So what I did was I shut off all the lights in my house. I got under a big, heavy, fluffy blanket. I threw on The Shining and I poured out some of that scotch, and it was absolute heaven.
Yeah. No, that's a perfect like movie to watch when in isolation, you know.
God. Lighthouse as well. It's another great one to do.
Hateful Eight, I think, is another good isolation movie.
Love that movie.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the cool things about Kubrick is, he generally worked off of other people's creations and he would just sort of take the turns that he wanted to take with them. And I know that, originally Stephen King I think he's kind of come around to the film The Shining.
Yeah.
But I think there is something to be said for like, well, if you're translating it to a different medium, like if you're not the one directing it, Stephen, you kind of got to let the person do their thing with it too, know?
And I think to a degree, I kind of understand where he was coming from that, even if I disagree with his opinion on it, or at least on what his opinion was. The novel is a very personal story about his struggles with alcoholism, and he kind of put himself into Jack's character. So when the movie made him much more of like a villainous character, and threw away a lot of the alcohol abuse themes that were present in the novel, I feel like he kind of felt like he was being robbed of a very personal story and it was being twisted. So I do get that.
Yeah.
I understand where the frustration comes from, even if I disagree with the take.
Yeah, you just got to let Kubrick be a total madman, right?
Yep.
I think that's why 2001 works really well, because he was writing that story as Arthur C. Clarke was writing the book. So they were doing it simultaneously and sort of agreeing on like, well, we'll hit this point and we'll hit this point. We're going to find different ways to get there.
Sure.
And I think that's one of the things like for Kubrick, that's, something that he probably has to have, I would imagine. Yeah, and Gavin says here, I've never read Carrie, but that original movie is perfect.
I haven't read it yet either. I've got a copy of it sitting around.
But yeah, it's I had heard you said, I think it was, I was watching your appearance on my first horror film on Sledgehammer Horror, and you had talked about how you hope we get yet another, at some point, get that It movie that really, packs everything from the book in there.
Yeah, I would want it to be like a 10-episode series.
There you go.
Something like that. But yeah, I mean, It is my favorite novel. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Like literally, I was reading the last scene of that book and I was in tears. It's a beautiful book. Very, very dark, much darker than either of the movies go. And there's also things that you can't and shouldn't want to adapt to the screen.
Yeah.
So some changes absolutely have to be made. But
yeah.
But I would love a really good. I mean, harkening back to our question earlier about what you would kind of reboot, I think I would want to do that. I wanted to try and tackle.
You'd want to tackle It.
Yeah.
Or tackle It with a couple of the things.
Either It or I would want to do another Fog movie, because I think The Fog is one of the most underrated John Carpenter flicks.
Yeah, that soundtrack is incredible, and just the whole like ghost story vibe. I
love coastal horror so much.
Yeah, I think The Fog it's the perfect like gateway kind of horror movie. Like if you think your kid maybe can't handle all the blood and guts, like you can watch The Fog. You know?
It was also the last movie I watched with my father, so there's a bit of now a sentimentality with The Fog as well. So that would definitely weigh into why I would want to tackle that one.
Absolutely. That's an incredibly like powerful thing about film too, is like every time you watch a movie, you have memories of the previous times that you've watched the movie, you know, and it's kind of like sometimes even with music, it's like sometimes I feel like I listen to a record from a certain time in my life. I can smell the things from like that era.
Well, my dad was a guitar teacher, you know, so that was his job. So that was certainly a part of it. I mean, we got into all this last week when we were on with Ken and Ashley watching Terrifier. We got onto that exact same topic.
Yeah, it's pretty incredibly powerful stuff for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, shoot, I've had you on here for about an hour. I know it's really late out where you're at and you've got an early start to the day. So
very early.
I appreciate you, you know, working with the late hours here, or the late night, rather. So, thank you so much, man. It was great having a chat with you here. Guys, you can follow Evan over at ROCKLIN Graves Productions. I've got the links down below for the YouTube channel and his Insta and his Twitter. So
I guess I should start promoting that. I've been using Twitter and I haven't promoted it at all. So, hey Dylan, what's up, buddy?
Twitter is tough. Like for me, no one cares about anything I do on Twitter really, because because I don't say anything like wild or controversial on Twitter. I'm usually like, hey, I've got a video. Like, and everyone's like, who the hell are you? And I'm like, I'm no one. Pay no attention. See ya.
Yeah. Dylan's calling me a nerd when he's the one who bought a CRT TV just to accompany his VHS copy of Terrifier 2.
Yeah. Yeah, you should. And you know what? He could have been even nerdier and gotten one to accommodate his N64, you know, GoldenEye parties or something like that, right? You had to wait for Terrifier. Come on, Dylan. Davey is love. Davey is
thanks
life.
For thanks for the show. I apologize for how tired I've been throughout this stream. It's been a hectic little while. I've been working. I literally started working at 8 o'clock this morning.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like just now finishing working.
Well, shit, man. Yeah, I really do appreciate you, you know, accommodating our time as well. And the next time we put a little something together, let's do it pre-recorded and it can work for everyone.
Yeah, totally. I would love to do something else with you, man. This has been a ton of fun.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night and be well and have sweet dreams of Nosferatu here for Christmas.
I dream of it every night.
All right. Take care, Evan.
Right on. Cheers. Get fucked, Dylan.
All right, everyone. That was so much damn fun. Love chatting it up with our guests here, especially someone that, you know, a couple weeks ago we had Rob and Kaylee from That Horror Couple, and Rob and I could sort of talk about like our love of punk rock, and then, you know, bringing in Evan, who I got to listen to some of his music. I'm going to jump on over to Spotify right when we're done here. Because I'm always fascinated with like connecting the music with the person and everything. And man, I mean, working since 8 this morning, and then you figure out like this guy's a true Renaissance man. I mean, writing a book and writing the music for it, putting together an album of singer-songwriter songs, and then you know, working on the YouTube channel, which it's got to be incredibly time consuming, especially once you guys, if you haven't dove in already. Once you dive into his videos, you will gain a great appreciation for how much time and work is put into it. That's the exact reason why I go live all the time, because pre-recorded stuff takes a long time, especially, you know, if you're going to make it good and worthwhile. And Evan certainly does that. He says, come watch T2 with me, Terrifier 2. Okay. I'm still thinking Judgment Day when people say T2, but he's talking about the CRT. Yeah, sorry, man. You can always scrub on back and check out the you know, the early part of the interview there. Hell yeah. And let's see here. Both of you go see The Substance. Hell yeah. That one's been getting some love here. Gavin, did you say you had seen The Substance, or you're gonna go check it out here shortly? Hell yeah, man. Thank you so much for hanging. Get some good rest. And then, it's just going to be another 16-hour day tomorrow of hard ass work. So, yeah, I really appreciate you, Evan. Take care, man. The new Salem lot looks good. I think so as well. I mean, the trailer, there was a couple moments that didn't look super great, but I think for the most part, I'm kind of surprised that this thing wasn't slated to be released in the theater. Kind of crazy. Yeah. And thank you so much for subbing over there, Prince. Yeah, he is just, that channel is skyrocketing. I don't know if he was joking last week when we were on the Terrifier 2 watch party, but he said he was at like 2,400 or something at the beginning of the year. And maybe he was just joking or something like that, or I misheard. But wildly successful, because I've been subbed for like a month and a half, and it's been like 6,000 or 7,000 subs there. So yeah, the work that he's putting in is definitely showing in that regard as well. So yeah, hell yeah. Substance is amazing, says Manny's Manic Media. That's great to hear. That's awesome. I love Dreamcatcher and Thinner. No one ever talks about those. Jamie, I saw Dreamcatcher once, and I'm having a tough time like really remembering all the details. I don't know if I've seen Thinner. I remember the trailers for Thinner, because there was like the gypsy lady that's like, Thinner. She like, grazes his face with her wrinkled hand. I don't know why. I remember that, but yeah, crazy. Oh, he is serious. So that's amazing. We were chilling back when he was at 200 subs. That's incredible, man. So happy for him. I mean, I just think it's one of those things, like we talk about it here all the time, guys, like, lifting each other up, within the community. And then you see somebody that they're putting so much time and effort into their videos. It shows in the production, and then it's showing in, the sub count and the follows and all that good stuff. Because, like Evan said, it's like he started the channel so he could talk about things in an in-depth way that he felt like no one in his immediate life really wanted to get into. So it's awesome to find that, in everybody here on YouTube. I think that's something I can definitely relate with, as far as, finding you guys and us building this community together has just been super inspiring and really great for mental health. And yeah, I talk a lot and need somebody to talk to. Hell yeah, Jamie, that's awesome to see. Dylan says Evan is an inspiration to all of us. He truly deserves all the growth. Absolutely. Yeah. It's really incredible and really cool to see, and encouraging, that dedication, and the hard work is paying off for sure. Surely you can't be serious. Yeah. Yes, I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you, Dylan. And that's one thing too, that I've had some of my friends that are content creators. They're, either maybe they're just down on like how a video did or whatever. And maybe, they start comparing themselves to someone else. And it's like, I compare each video that I do to the last video I did, and I feel like I'm not in a competition with anyone else. It's like, I feel like I'm competing with myself to just be better every single time I get on the camera, to be better at developing the relationships with the other content creators and the audience. So that's like the competition that I feel, because I really do think, I say this all the time, I do think there's room for everyone here on YouTube. Like the pie is huge, and there can be a bunch of, a bunch of big slices in that pie, and still room for somebody else to come through. Like most of the time, unless I'm sitting on the couch with my wife, either watching football or, watching a show together, the whole rest of the time, like, I'm on YouTube as my main platform for entertainment. So, and I'm always looking for something new. So yeah, I'm very, very encouraged by that, and love what you guys do over there. Shout out to Dylan and the crew over at Splattercast. Go give them a subscribe. They do some really great. I really enjoy the lives, like the roundtable lives are really fun. Always love jumping into a chat on a live. So thanks for coming and hanging out, Dylan, and kicking it with us, man. It's really cool to see you in the chat. Raymond says, this is why Davey is so cool. He keeps introducing us to new people to watch. I've been watching a lot of Cobweb's channel lately. Oh my God, Daniel's channel is amazing. It's so damn good. And that's really cool to hear, Raymond, because like I've said almost every time when I bring somebody on, whether it's, there are a few people like Cody Leach I've been watching for years, but Nick from the Lost River Drive-In, Killjoy Jake, Evan from ROCKLIN Graves, Daniel from Cobweb's channel. Like, a lot of these guys are people that I've found relatively recently as well. So whenever I see that, not only does somebody have content I really enjoy, but obviously you can, look at that sub count and see how well they're popping off. And it's like, hey, there's something there. This person, there's something to what they're doing, and if I can even connect them with a few more people here, and then also give you guys some new entertainment, that's where it's at. Yeah, Liana, that's what's up. Comparison is the theft of joy. It certainly is. And there's something in all of our brains. It's just that, that inner capitalist in the animal brain of ours that, like, we want to compare and we want to compete. And I get that. I totally understand it. Of course, we all want to find success, but I don't think that the one person's success has to come to the detriment of another. At least not all the time. At least not here in this kind of creative space, for sure. Yeah, hell yeah. I love that, Prince, that you've been expanding your YouTube diet. And Jamie's agreeing there. And it's truly a blessing to be a part of a community like this, says Dylan. You're always meeting new people. I found your channel a few months ago, and it's brilliant, my friend. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Yeah, it is really cool to hear, we just crossed 1,000 subs, but it is awesome to hear that there's been, some folks that have found us, over the last few months and have just sort of discovered, what we're doing here, trying to kind of carve out our own little niche and our own little community here as well, with especially with the late night show, giving folks another platform to talk about what they do, or also just to talk about maybe some things that they don't always get to talk about on their channel. Like, of course, Cody Leach and I, we talked, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but we got to talk some music, which was really fun. I'm really looking forward to, the rest of our September slate here. We have Mel from My Killer Podcast coming on next week. And then in October, we have a great amount of guests. We've got Damien Maffei is booked for October 16th, which I'm really interested to chat with Damien because he comes from a punk rock background and we're both, just massive fans of the horror genre. So we'll talk a little bit about, a couple of his movies. But I just kind of want to shoot the shit with the guy, really. So just talk about spooky season and, kind of celebrate it all together. And yeah, absolutely, Daniel is a total legend for sure. Daniel's retro horror video was really interesting. Man, every single one of those, I feel like Raymond, you were saying that I exposed you guys to new content creators and stuff. Every time I go over to Daniel's channel, he's exposing me to like either a new subgenre or movies within a subgenre I really enjoy that I've never even heard of. So I love his lists that he goes through where he, kind of lets you know about some unsung gems of the genre. Hell yeah, Paula, we love you too. Absolutely. And Jamie loves Mel. Yeah, Mel is great. I'm super intrigued to I'm like, what are we gonna like? This is gonna be a fun little chat. Like, are we gonna talk about older movies? Are we gonna talk about physical media? Are we gonna totally go into some strange offshoot direction? I don't know what to expect, but I know it's gonna be an absolute blast. And let's see here. Oh, Eli is back. Looks like he was having a little din, as I like to call it. I still got to do that. I always wait until after the show because in between work and the show, I'm like, all right, what can I do to sort of clean up around the household or clear my head or think about something else before I jump in here and hang out with you guys? So I'm going to have a little sip of my watermelon water. Raymond says here, Mel has the best laugh. Yeah, I'm hopefully I can make her laugh. We'll see. I always try to get a chuckle or two out of each guest. We'll see. But yeah, guys, this has been really fun hanging out. I'll probably keep it going here for a little bit as you guys are still hanging out with us here in the chat. But gosh, I feel like, man, we sort of covered all the Friday the 13th stuff yesterday. I guess let me sort of kick back a little bit and just ask you guys, like, what do you guys want to see more of on the channel? Even when it comes to some of that movie news stuff, do you guys want me to have, should I keep on doing those streams where it's just me talking about that topic individually? Should I do something where I have a segment on this show where we cover news like after our guest or something like that? I don't know. I'm curious to know what you guys want to see more of here, not only with late night on late night with the Davey, but just the channel in general. I know I've got to get back to my Tales from the Crypt reviews. I think I could probably shoot the next one probably tomorrow. So expect that one next week. I got to get on a little bit more of a regular schedule with that one. But just getting caught up in the whole spooky season thing and thinking about some of the other things I want to tackle as well has sort of pulled me away. But yeah, really just, curious to know what you guys want to see more of on the channel. Even if you're watching after the fact, comment below and let me know, because I want to make sure we keep you guys happy and engaged and keep the channel and the community growing for sure. Just more Davey in general. Oh, Eli, you're too sweet. Yeah, I am going to be planning. So speaking of more Davey, it's going to be pretty light for the rest of the week. Kate's birthday is on Sunday, so we're going to the Lions game. We're having dinner with friends on Friday. And I think on Saturday night, though, she's going to go and have dinner with her lady friends. So Saturday night, guys, I'm thinking of doing some sort of stream, and I've just got to brainstorm what that's going to be. Maybe I can put together a little versus kind of stream, or do you guys want to do like a watch party or something? Just throwing it out there. I know it's kind of directionless at this point, but I want to do something fun with you guys on Saturday, so we can get a little hangout on Saturday evening. So let me know in the comments. Let me know here in the chat. Maybe I can even do a little here. You know what I'll do? Actually, I always end the poll after the after the stream. I totally forget about the poll because I don't see it in StreamYard. But I asked you guys, have you already decorated for spooky season? 44%. So we've had a total flip. 44% says you know it. 33% says, no, I like to wait until October. And 22% say, I've started, but nowhere near done. So I'm going to end that poll there. And I'm going to start another poll with you guys right now. That's going to be, what do you want to see this Saturday night? And I'll do, we could do a watch party live, or do a versus battle live. Let's see what you guys say. Let's see what you say. I want to see a monthly horror trivia show. Ooh, I'm going to star that one. That's a really good one, Jamie. I like that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to write that down. I don't know what it is. Like, I do have a tablet, and I love my tablet for writing notes when I'm, watching an episode review or a movie to review. It's really helpful. But I'm going to write down this idea here on paper, because sometimes it's just nice to have, the physical object here. So, okay. So Jamie wants a monthly horror trivia show. All right, monthly. This is just super engaging, live material right now. Horror trivia show. Okay. All right. Let's see here. We've got oh yeah, there we go, Eli. If Eli sent a couple packages, so if those show up by Saturday, we can do an unboxing live. That'll be really fun to do that. Necro says, I want to see you talking about movies you've just seen for the first time, like you were saying about Kate and you watching something you both haven't seen, then having a discussion about it. Okay, that's great. Yeah, and I did do like so maybe Necro, I don't know if you've seen, I had an old series or a series when the channel was much newer, that's called I Finally Watched It. And maybe I just need to turn I Finally Watched It into a live stream. So, because what I would do is I would make those as like pre-recorded videos. I would try to like not do too much editing on them. I wanted them to feel more conversational, but maybe just going live is the way to go. So I'm going to write that down to bring back I Finally Watched It and make it live. That was really fun because like E.T., I had just watched E.T. for the first time earlier this year. And now Eli sent me the amazing Steelbook, which is incredibly beautiful. But yeah, anytime I watch a movie for the first time, I could go live and talk to you guys about it. Or I could watch like a few movies. We could do like kind of like hit them up like topics. Let me know what you think of that, Necro. All I can think of is maybe have a time frame where the chat can ask your guests questions. Okay, cool. So little Q&A on late night. I love it. Thank you so much, Raymond. That's great. Yeah, I want to keep you guys involved. And also, I know you guys have heard me say it. It's just sort of directing the interview and keeping an eye on the chat and everything like that. So that's a great idea, though, because then I can just allocate a certain amount of time. We can be like, hey, we've got 10 minutes left, or we have like 5 minutes left. Let's get a couple questions, or you guys can even ask questions and I can star them as we go. Okay, excellent. I love this idea of Q&A with the guest. Cool. Jamie hasn't decorated for spooky season yet. Then again, my background is always decorated for spooky season. Oh yeah, I mean, I've got even some of the stuff you guys can't see. I've got some spooky stuff all around me here. So Manny's Manic Media, my place is always spooky. Hell yeah. Let's see, already decorated. Who says I even take them down? That's awesome. Let's see here. Game nights. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap that into, how about I'll do that with a trivia, like a game night. Okay. I do want to do something with Rob and Kaylee from That Horror Couple, where Kate and I maybe do like a board game with them and do a stream of it, because I think a lot of these board games you can play them online, so that could be really fun. A bracket tier, all horror movies, like one of those tier ranker kind of things. So more tier ranker. Okay, I have fun doing those. I think maybe if we do more tier rankers, we'll get or tier maker, we'll get Medley Man back in the chat. Medley Man, always love those. Trivia would be cool. Hell yeah. Monthly horror trivia would be fun. Everyone loves it, Jamie. Hell yeah. And Jamie wants to be on the horror trivia show. Hell yeah. Jeopardy, the horror edition. Okay, perfect. Well, Liana, I guess what is Jeopardy, the horror edition? You're hilarious. Oh, that's awesome. Do the first time watch thing on Saturday. Okay. Yeah, and I could always make that. Yeah, that could be like you know, once a week I do sort of like a roundup of like, this is what I watched that was new. Cool. Multiple movies is great. I brought that up before, saying having them listed in advance so people can watch them and spoilers can be discussed. Oh, so even letting you know ahead of time. Okay, cool. Sweet. I'll do that. Finally watched it live. Let folks know. Okay, cool. This is great. And I apologize. Yeah, you may have said it before, and then sometimes when I unplug from here, some of these ideas and thoughts just disappear, and that's why I'm writing it down so it's right in my face. Yeah, you're friggin' hilarious. Liana is a rowdy one. I like having Liana in the chat. It's fun. A few things sitting or hanging around for Halloween decorations. Hell yeah. Yeah, we really haven't gone full bore yet, but I'm really excited to bust out all the fun decorations. Yeah, it looks like 88% of you guys out of the 8 votes want a watch party live. Okay, those are really fun. We could do something public domain or do like a fan film. I could even do, with a watch party, like what you were saying, Necro, we could kick the watch party off with a little bit of like, hey, this is what I've just seen recently for the first time. Like Kate and I just watched The Rental from 2020, the Dave Franco directed film. I thought that was really good, and that was my first time watching that. And I think we're gonna It Follows. That's like next on our list. I've never seen It Follows, and I have no excuse. I've heard it's basically like a John Carpenter movie, and I love John Carpenter movies, so I have no idea why I haven't watched it yet, but that would be a fun one. I could watch that. We could talk about both of those movies, before we kick off the watch party live, sort of do a little bit of I finally watched it, memory or sort of segment in there or whatever. It Follows fuck, says Necro. I'm guessing that's a good thing. I'm the only person in the world who hates It Follows, says Jamie. Yeah, I've just heard so many good things about it, Do a review for The Ritual. So Eli wants to see a little Ritual review. Maybe I could even work that into, okay, so I'm starting to get some ideas here. Ritual, The Rental, and It Follows. Maybe I could do a separate video where I just talk about those 3 movies, you know? That could be fun. Cool. So these are all great ideas. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, The Rental is really fun, and I do think they could take the story even further. I mean, it works just as its own thing. But I think an audience would be into seeing just different scenarios, you know? Chris says, I don't dislike It Follows, but I don't love it either. Oh, geez. Jamie spent 85% of It Follows rolling her eyes out of her skull. Oh, is it just really cringy? Or the characters terrible? What's going on? The opening almost topped Scream for best opening. Wow. All right. Prince is talking about The Crazies, original or remake. Yeah, Dan Stevens is one of those actors that like everyone really loves, and I don't know if I'm really sold on Dan Stevens. I don't dislike him, but I don't know what it is. There's some sort of weird thing. I do think the other performers, like I do think for the most part in The Rental, the performances are really good. There's something about that, the way it sets up the mood, and the way it sort of keeps you guessing as to what's really going on, and without spoiling it for anyone who hasn't seen it, like when you actually get the reveal of what's been going on, it's something that would have been so difficult to have guessed, but is like really good and smart. And I mean, I've only seen the movie once, but it seems pretty airtight, which is pretty incredible for sure. Jigsaw's only seen the kill count for It Follows. That's good enough for me. Blu-ray says, I loved It Follows, but I haven't watched it since it came out. Maybe I don't love it as much as I thought I did. I got to rewatch it to see if it holds up for me. Yeah, I think sometimes, man, I have the same kind of thing where I really enjoy a movie. And then the next time I watch it, I'm like, what did I like about that? Like even I bring it up all the time here. Donnie Darko, like every time I watched it, it got worse for me. 28 Days Later, every time I watched it, I was like, the movie's kind of boring. Like this movie just does things, a lot of things that I've seen in other movies, and is sort of boring in the times where it's not doing those things. So yeah, I don't know. Chris Snyder loves Dan Stevens, not a fan of The Rental. I think his performance in Abigail was really good. Maybe it's just the fact that his character is kind of a shit bag in The Rental, but some people are just shit bags. So not to say that he didn't do a good job with the performance. I do think that he did. There's just something about him. I don't know what it is. I don't know. My favorite Dan Stevens movie is The Guest. I need to see The Guest still, Blu-ray. For the longest time, I was like, Bradley Cooper's in this movie called The Guest? Nope. Dan Stevens just looks a lot like him on the cover of the movie. And kind of looks like him in general, but not so much, just in that shot, right? Jamie says, It Follows was cringy to me. I wasn't scared at all. Mostly I was angry at the movie. Oh, shit. I don't know. I really respect your opinion, Jamie. So now I'm worried that I'm not going to like It Follows. I heard the music is great, and like the cinematography is beautiful, and it has that look and feel of like an older, Carpenter film. So man, I hope that even if the story is cringy or doesn't work for me, I hope that there's just something in there that I can really enjoy. Yeah. I've been really excited to watch Cuckoo. Yeah, I need to check that one out too. I've heard decent things about it. Some not so good. Yeah. I've never seen Freaky. That's the one with Vince Vaughn, right? Yeah, I've never seen that one. Liana says, I feel like one of the few people who loved Fresh. I've never even heard of Fresh, or if I have, I forgot about it. So let me write down Fresh. Is it like a cannibal kind of movie? It sounds like a cannibal movie. Raymond says Fresh was okay. Chris says Fresh was one of my favorites of that year. Loved it. Necro says the It Follows soundtrack is awesome. I listened to it on my subwoofers on my drive home from the theater. Hell yeah. What edition of Return of the Living Dead do you have? I just have a Blu-ray that I bought from Best Buy like 3 years ago, something like that. It was like $7 in the bin. That movie's so much fun. Yeah, I love that movie. D.A. Mac is joining us. Welcome to the hang, D.A. Mac. What's happening? We are just chilling out. Earlier this evening, we had Evan from ROCKLIN Graves Productions hanging out with us, having a chat. And yeah, now we're just kicking it. I'm kind of picking everyone. You know what? Let's be honest. What I'm doing with the remainder of Late Night with the Davey is I'm getting you guys to workshop ideas for me. Look at that. That's just how things go, right? We're a community after all. Welcome to the hang, DA. Everyone make DA feel welcome if you haven't already. One of our great, very new subscribers and a channel member. So really awesome. Thank you so much for taking that deep dive, DA. Let's see here. Raymond says Dan Stevens' best performance is the guest. It has Micah Monroe too. Okay, well, I thought she was fabulous in Long Legs. So that's one of the reasons I'm excited to watch It Follows. I really liked her in Long Legs. And now, I mean, I really got to check out the guest because I thought she put in an award-winning performance in Long Legs for sure. Paula loved Dan Stevens in Beauty and the Beast. He was the prince and the beast, and he can sing. I had no idea, Paula. I totally missed that movie. And I guess because I've seen him in so much horror and stuff like that, it didn't even occur to me that he was in that live action remake of of Beauty and the Beast. That's so wild. That's really cool. I'll have to check that out. Let's see here. Freaky was a good time. I have fun with that one. All right. I don't think you're spoiling it for me. But you know what? It's fascinating to know just how different people feel about it. Of course, when I go in to watch it, it'll just be my experience is what I'll take away from it. But it'll be interesting, like once I've watched it, just to think about the things that people said and think about if those or, ponder whether or not those resonate with me. Be interesting. Yeah. Fresh came out like a year or two ago. Daisy Edgar Jones and Sebastian Stan. All right. Odd Thomas from 2013. I think I remember hearing about that one. Is that the one that had Anton Yelchin in it? I liked Fresh. I've only talked to one other person about it, but she liked it too. All right. Maybe Fresh just didn't get much legs out there. I mean, I haven't even heard of it. Not to say that I've heard of everything, but I'm just curious to know if it's just a movie that didn't get much exposure. First footage of Who Killed Who debuting on the live stream this weekend, everyone. Got about 3 minutes worth of footage to showcase for you guys. Hell yeah, Chris. Really looking forward to the epic return of Movie Misfits video, the rebranding of the channel, and really looking forward to your Scream vids as well. I'm a giant Scream nerd, as I can tell that you are from the series you've put together. And it'll be really cool to see what kind of insights you have. I'm really looking forward to it. Not going to bother with They Follow either, says Jigsaw. Yeah, I guess that's a really long wait for people who loved the original for sure. Eli's getting the Long Legs 4K at the end of the month. Hell yeah. Let's see here. Saturday night is going to be when that stream is premiering over there on Movie Misfits video, or the teaser. Sorry, right? That's what it is. It's going to be first footage of Who Killed Who. Okay. 3 minutes. So yeah, guys, make sure you're subbed over at Movie Misfits video and you have that notification bell struck so you can check out that teaser footage that Chris is going to show off there. Let's see here. Never heard of Dan Stevens until watching Godzilla X Kong, and now he's everywhere. So weird how that happens with actors. Yeah, I didn't know who he was until Abigail, and then boop, 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 all over the place. And then, of course, the older movies that I missed for sure. Yeah, but everyone's Dan Stevens this, Dan Stevens that, especially the Brits. The Brits really love him because he is a Brit, even though I'm guessing he usually plays an American. At least I've never heard his British accent, so kind of wild. Fresh was a Hulu original movie, so not too much promotion, but I really liked it. Okay. It was the live action remake, and the song is called Evermore. All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Paula. Hell yeah, I'll have to check it out. Yep, Anton Yelchin from Odd Thomas, and Sebastian Stan acted the hell out of that movie. Okay, sweet. I'll have to check it out. And it's on Hulu. We got Hulu. I got Long Legs in 4K on digital, says Chris. But that's one I'm definitely grabbing a physical copy of. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that too. I didn't know if I was going to, but I think that's a movie that definitely deserves, you know, it is a purchase worthy for sure. His dancing was great too. Oh, Sebastian Stan. Nicholas McMath says there are 34 likes. Hell yeah, Nicholas. Thank you so much for the like count. Yeah, Dan Stevens and Glenn Powell should do a movie together, and then every woman would just slide out of their seats, you know, congruently. There we go. Boom. Movie Misfits video got another sub. There it is. Sign me up right now, Raymond. Yeah, that's right. Who wouldn't want a little Dan Stevens and Glenn Powell? What kind of movie do you want to see them in, guys? If you could have Dan Stevens and Glenn Powell in a movie together, mind out of the gutter, Jamie, what kind of movie would you have them do together? Glenn Powell is another actor that's been in everything lately. Yeah. Oh, he's going to be starring in Running Man, and they're doing a Backdraft remake. Couldn't you just do another movie about firefighters? Like, do you have to do it a Backdraft remake? That's interesting. Channel is under construction at the moment, but I appreciate that, says Chris. Yeah, and he's going to be getting going here, you know, really kicking things off when the Scream series is ready to go. Dan Stevens was on Downton Abbey. Any movie, they could be in a car for 2 hours. That would be cool. So like a little buddy road trip kind of movie. Maybe not The Hangover, maybe something a little more like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, or like Dutch or something like that. Road trip, like something like that. There you go. Boom. And Movie Misfits video is just collecting the subscribers here. Hell yeah. Glenn Powell doesn't do it for Jamie. All right. Dan Stephen has lovely eyes. The devil's eyes. Michael, go home. His rage. I don't know why, but Loomis had to show up. There it is. They should do a horror version of Lethal Weapon. All right. Buddy cop movie. Okay. Could be interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to think, because the first thing that I thought of, kind of what you said here, Chris, is like them on a road trip movie was kind of the first thing I thought of. And then you just wonder like what spurns the, you know, or what spurs the road trip, like what kicks it off and all that, what kind of conflict are they going to have, all that kind of fun stuff. I remember my grandma used to watch Downton Abbey. Yeah, I've heard of it, never watched it. Paula says, love Glenn Powell. He was amazing in Twisters. Loved him in Maverick and Scream Queens. Scream Queens is a show that I should probably watch. I did really like him in Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick is an incredible sequel. Yeah, amazing. And he plays the character so damn well. Liana says, Dutch. Wow, haven't heard that one in a while. Yeah, Dutch is really good. I mean, I think it's one of those like, I don't know, like understated or sort of forgotten classics. Like I think Ed O'Neill is so good. And then, you know, you got Ethan Embry. That was the first thing I ever saw him in. I know he totally, like, it's crazy the way he looked, maybe not even 10 years later. By the time he's in Empire Records, he doesn't even look like the same person at all. That's just what puberty will do, I suppose. But I think Dutch is such an interesting, like, kind of dark comedy. I mean, it is a comedy, but also there's a lot of heart there and a real story. So yeah, maybe something like that kind of vibe. You know, Planes, Trains has some of those vibes, but I do think Planes, Trains is a little more on the comedic side than Dutch. Dutch is a little more poignant, you know, but very, very similar. No, I've never seen EastEnders, but I've heard about it for years because I know it was a very, very popular show in England. Investigating a cult or a Michael Myers like killer. You want to see Dan? All right, so Dan Stevens and Glenn Powell in a Lethal Weapon style horror movie where they're investigating a serial killer. Okay, I could dig that. I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't even, you know, whatever. If they want to bring Loomis back and they want to wait for one of these actors to get like a little bit older but not too old, you know, that could be fun too. Tried to watch Scream Queens, couldn't get into it. Yeah, I don't know. TV shows are tough for me. Yeah, you know what, the the autocorrect's just a jerk. What can you do, Liana? Yeah. Yeah, I think Ethan Embry's great. And he is really good in that movie. He plays such a preppy little bitch, like just such a spoiled brat. But I do love like the lessons that you learn, you know, through that movie. And I think, you know, I came from like, you know, my parents are still together. I know a lot of people came from a home where their parents weren't you know, together forever. And I think one of the things about Dutch that's like, you know, makes it a valuable experience for somebody like me is it's kind of just a window into this different sort of world, and to gain like an appreciation for what that situation, you know, could be like or maybe like for some folks. I saw Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag like after it came out. I don't remember anything about it other than Joe Pesci is in the movie. I remember that. Was Chris Rock in that? Did he have a role in there? He may have. Yeah. And of course, Jamie saw it in the theater. So there you go. And we got Flet's Movies and Pop Culture 13 hanging out in the chat. What's happening, Kyle Curtis? Great to see you, man. Kyle Curtis is on the road to 600 subs, everyone. So if you haven't gone on over there, check him out. Give some of his videos a watch. He has some amazing gets on his live interviews. They're really, really cool. Go give him a sub and check out what he's got. I haven't watched the Emma Roberts Scream Queens show, but I did watch the VH1 horror reality show Scream Queens back in the day. Man, I think I even missed that one. Yeah, wild. Scream Queens is on Hulu. All right, there you go. Yeah, Emma Roberts is so good in Scream 4. She really won me over there. Kind of blew me away. I didn't expect much from Scream 4, but I walked away being like, is that my favorite sequel in the franchise? And then all these years later, I'm like, yep, I think it's the best one other than the first. Absolutely. Liana's parents will be together, 51 years together this year. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. And your husband as well, that his parents are still together. That's really cool and really rare. Back in when I was living in Portland, I was playing in this punk band called Absent Minds, and there were 4 of us in the band, and that was the wildest thing is with all 4 of us, our parents were still together. And at one point we were like, that's kind of crazy. Like for 4 dudes to be in this, it's just wild. Like, what are the odds? Kind of crazy there. Ethan Embry's best performance is Can't Hardly Wait, or Sweet Home Alabama. I forgot. I haven't seen I'm thinking of the college one. I'm thinking of what is it called where she goes to become a lawyer, and it's like the same thing. I mean, like all those Reese Witherspoon movies, I'm like, I can't tell the difference. Whatever the hell that was called. I've not seen Sweet Home Alabama. Can't Hardly Wait is really good though. I do really enjoy that movie for sure. Devil's Candy, never saw that one. All right, I'll have to check that out. Here we go. Yeah, Jamie and her hubby just celebrated 24 years married and 30 years together. That is incredible. That's awesome. Way to go. What's happening, Coy? Welcome back to the chat. We got DA Max says, when's the last time you revisited Very Bad Things with Christian Slater? I haven't seen that since right after it came out as well. I remember thinking it was hilarious. Like, great dark comedy. You know, I love that stuff. Yeah, I was thinking of Legally Blonde, just regular Legally Blonde, but maybe Legally Blonde too. Stream went good, Davey. I'll have to rewatch your interview later. Glad I caught the end of the stream. I'm glad you guys could jump in here too. Yeah, Coy and Kyle Curtis are coming over from their stream over on Kyle Curtis's channel. Yeah, and when I'm done here, or maybe when I'm putting together my end of the evening routine, I'll have to pop your guys' stream on and check it out as well, for sure. Thanks for coming and hanging out after doing your stream. Absolutely. Very Bad Things is so good, says Jamie Hart. What an ending. And I can't remember the ending because I only saw it once years ago. So I'll have to check it out. But yeah, I remember thinking that movie was hilarious. Like, in particular, I can remember the scene where they go to like the hardware store to get all the stuff for like the cleanup or whatever. And there's like these slow motion shots of them like walking around, like pushing the cart. I just remember like loving the stylistic touch there and just, you know, kind of cracking up a little bit. And Coy loves Very Bad Things as well. Hell yeah. Yeah, that's one I got to revisit for sure. Sweet. Well, this has been a really fun hang. We've been going on for a couple hours now. I think this is a good place to sort of cap it off for the night. Guys, I know sometimes we go for 3 hours. It's like a crazy marathon here, but sometimes with the show, I'm sort of like, well, just however feels right, you know? So tonight, we only had a limited amount of time with Evan. I'm sure we'll get him back on the channel some other time. So, maybe tonight is just a little bit of a lighter show. Also, I got to get all my thoughts out about the Crystal Lake TV show last night, which saves us about 45 minutes or so. But I really do appreciate you guys sharing the ideas for, some of what you want to see here on the channel. Some of this, like a trivia night would be so cool. It might take a little bit of time to put something together, but that's something I'd love to get going as soon as October, Jamie. So let me know if we can sort of workshop that together, maybe get some ideas of what you have in mind, and then just kind of put a little something together for everyone. And then, yeah, I mean, I finally watched it, doing that live, talking about, movies I've recently seen for the very first time, whether or not they're, brand new or maybe just a few years old, or maybe something as old as E.T. from 1982 that I just watched for the first time this year. And then, yeah, Eli, you had brought up Tier Maker, more of those rankings on Tier Maker. I love the Q&A with a guest section idea there as well. And yeah, plenty of movies to check out here within the next week or so. I think I'm going to bite the bullet, Jamie, on It Follows here pretty soon. And I'll let you know what I think. And we'll see if we're on the same page. I'm interested to know. But yeah, guys, you are all amazing. Thank you so much for being a subscriber, for liking this stream. If you're watching after the fact, leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on our chat with Evan, any of those topics that we covered. Or maybe there's something that you want to see here on the channel. Let me know in the comments as well. Got to give a special thank you to all the channel members and our patrons. Of course, you guys are amazing. What you guys do here on the channel, just showing up for streams and hanging out, just that in and of itself fuels everything that we do here. And now that we're able to have channel members, we can start, paying some bills and start doing some bigger things here, like some of these ideas that you guys have told me about today here. Really quick, though, I do want to say, what's happening? Matt Weatherford says, It Follows was good. All right, there it is. And Matt, I think this is your first time in the chat. So welcome to the chat. Everybody say what's up to Matt. We're just wrapping up the show for tonight, Matt, but we go live every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. I bring on a guest that's someone in the creative world, either a content creator or maybe an author, musician, actor, director, writer, just somebody that is involved heavily in the creative world, either as something they do for a living or something that is kind of their side hustle. So if this is your first time here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode of Late Night with the Davey. It's always a blast hanging out here with everyone. I love you guys so much. Thank you for everything that you do here on the channel, just hanging out, being sweet to each other, taking care of the trolls like Devontae and all that fun kind of stuff. Without you guys, we wouldn't have been able to pass the 1,000 subscriber mark, which we just did this past Friday. And at least this month, you guys have paid the internet bill, which is really, really cool. So thank you so much. That's your hard-earned money going to help us out to keep everything running over here. So really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I will be back on Saturday night. I'm guessing we're going to do a little bit of a watch party. Ooh, that reminds me, I should check the poll. 13 votes and 85% say they want the watch party live. 86% say they want the watch party live. So we're going to roll with that. The poll is closed. We'll do a watch party. I'm going to put out another poll on the community tab, and I'm going to give you guys some options of what you want to see on the watch party, and then we'll put it together from there. Thank you guys so much. Love our Death Squad mods. Thank you guys for keeping everything on the rails here as it got a little wacky this evening, and I can only anticipate more of that in the future. But you guys have been great. I'll be back on Saturday night. And until next time, I've been and will continue being Davey Deathray. Take care.